Hello and welcome back. Now that you know and have mastered the understanding that SQL is used to communicate and manipulate data stored in relational database management systems, and that SQL is spread across many domains and has advanced and diverse set of concepts and theories, let's look into the career path in SQL. Now, for you to start a career in the environment or data environment where SQL is the primary or secondary expertise needed for that career, you should master all SQL concepts. So for those of you that are passionate about data and its data challenges, then SQL is a career that you should pursue. If not as a primary expertise, at least as one of the expertise that you should master. You should be a fully expert on. You can find many jobs in the market related to SQL because SQL is SQL database and SQL operation is something that you find very common today in both on-premises and cloud data environments. And this create a high need for careers in SQL professionals. And as the technology is moving forward very fast today, SQL still, well, in the meantime, last forever, and knowing SQL will take you to your desired goals and achievements, and take you to a long career path in your data achievements. So some of the career paths that I'm going to talk about here that I've listed here are those, again, where SQL is either the primary skill that you will need, or at least one of the core skills that you will need. Because either you're performing a data analysis, or you're performing some scientific study of data, or if you're building a machine learning algorithm as part of some artificial intelligence, then at some point, during this life cycle of your data, of your data operation, you will you will find the need to use SQL to perform a variety of data related tasks that makes the core of that data project, right? So either if like, let's start with data analyst, right? As a data analyst, you will make use of SQL while you need to extract data from the databases, right? When you need to perform data analysis on those data. Sometimes you're provided with those data or data sets, but then most of the time you'll have to go back to the databases or data warehouses or whatever platform that's your company is operating with, and you will need to extract those required set of data based on the given requirements. So as a data analyst, not only you're performing analysis and building metrics, and you're responsible to create performance metrics, indicators to analyze data, but you're also responsible to go back in the back end of the data sources to get the right data, right? And then to extract those data either through some ETL automated process, or through some extraction, right? Manual extraction, to make sure that those data are ready and sufficient for your data analysis work. So as a data analyst, you definitely need to have the SQL skills in your professional portfolio. Now, the second one is a data scientist. Data scientist is pretty much a new job in the job market today, especially dealing with the big data. So a data scientist is responsible pretty much to do everything a data analyst does, which is to analyze and to perform analysis, mining, prediction of data that drive business forward, right? But data scientists find themselves working more with big data, and pretty much if a data analyst is creating or developing a model, let's say a data mo a statistical data or statistical model, let's say on a data set, uh, that on a pre-designated data set, a data scientist can actually take this one step um, one step forward, right? And embed this model with big data, right? And develop a machine learning algorithm so that each time the data comes to a stage, that model can run on the data, and you can produce an analysis based off of those data on your big data environment. And of course, data scientist's job entails a little bit more than what analyst's job does. But not to get off the topic, a data scientist will of course make use of SQL here. So that's the idea of this demo, for me to talk about what's the implication of SQL with each of these careers. So a data scientist will of course make use of SQL because data scientists will need to work with big data. So when you're working with big data, you cannot use more like friendly graphic user interfaces, to download the data. You're actually performing, uh, uh, you know, big data work on platforms that requires your SQL proficiency. Although you will use tools like Hadoop, Spark, etc. But definitely these tools would require you to have a good level of proficiency with SQL in order to perform your big data extraction or your big data manipulation, if not big data analysis, if it makes sense. Um, the next one is data engineering. Data engineering is definitely the field that I guess I can say that SQL is uh, the primary skill set that you need, right? As a data engineer, you work with data migrations. You create automated let's say step functions, or ETL automations where if a data is updated on a database, then the you have these automated ETL functions, right? That goes and picks up those data, extracts them, and perform a transformation on them, and then load them onto a different stage, whatever stage you assign it. So engineering is definitely the field that you need SQL as one of the primary skills to begin with. Next one is database administrator, a DBA is responsible to administer and maintain SQL Server databases. Of course, one of the primary skill sets a DBA needs to have is to be able to write SQLs in order to be able to administer and manage the database. Database tester, same as a database administrator or a database developer, which I don't have here. So database developer, database administrator, I forgot to mention both here. A database tester and also a database developer, they both have their primary duties involve designing and implementing databases where SQL is the language. And same thing with a tester. Tester's primary role is to validate that the right data is loaded and resides in the database. So when you perform those validation tests, knowing SQL is the key. And next one is a BI developer or administrator. A BI developer or administrator. A BI stands for business intelligence. So business intelligence developer, it's also the type of role that you need SQL because you are performing your BI data extraction on data warehouses, right? You're creating these reports, right? And then for you to be able to create those reports, you need to perform certain data transformation that deals with SQL queries, right? Where you have to, analyze analyze data while you pick them up from the data marts or data cubes or data warehouses. So as a BI application developer and then a BI administrator, you definitely need to have good amount of SQL knowledge and also the knowledge of executing ETL jobs to push the data and monitor the data warehouse reports and validate them accordingly. Next one is a data application interface developer. A data application interface developer is a person who works with the application development side, also works, as a bridge between the database and the actual application user interface, where this person, that person's primary skill set would be, program languages as C Sharp or Java, that kind of stuff. But also, that person also, it's a must for him or her to know SQL again, because he or she needs to embed those SQLs or either it's ETLs or any data load logic embedded within, as an extension within those programming scripts in Java or C Sharp or whatever language is used for programming. So, to add those data side of, the data side in development process of your data application user interface is going to add a lot of value, where knowing SQL is a must. ETL developer, definitely an ETL developer works on, an ETL stands for extraction, transformation, and loading. An ETL developer works on ETL data from databases pretty much to extract data and, performing transformation if needed, and then just load them onto from the source point to the target point. So from source point, he's extracting it, bringing it to a stages where he or she performs transformation, and then loads them to a target point where it's a data warehouse or data mart or a different database management system. So an ETL developer, it's fair to say it's knowing SQL is like the number one requirement for this role. The next one is the cloud database expert and big data expert. So the cloud database expert and big data expert, these roles are kind of the same. They have a lot of common overlapping duties. A big data, a cloud database expert uses cloud interfaces like AWS, Azure, those kinds, etc. And so in these cloud databases have relational databases, right? So you definitely need to have SQL proficiency to be able to perform cloud database operations, right? And so also same thing with the big data expert. A big data expert uses those cloud-based databases I mentioned earlier, as well as they also use big data tools like Spark, Hive, Hadoop, etc. And knowing SQL is also a primary requirement while working with big data tools for a big for big data transformations and migrations. And lastly, it's architect. So an architect is pretty much someone who works to create solution on how to handle the data structure, and also work with like data engineers and database administrators to design the architecture of a database. Of course, a data architect, if not the primary goal, if not the primary requirement, but at least secondary, or it's somewhere, on the top three skills of it's a requirement to be on the top three skills of a data architect to know SQL. And lastly, these are not it. There may be other data related and development related roles and responsibility positions that will make use of SQL. And so SQLs, that's why, as I said at the beginning of the presentation, that uh, SQL skills, the demand for the SQL skills and professionals are increasing day by day, and it's such an important skill to have, which can take you to your desired goal in your data professional career endeavors. This is it. I'm hoping that this was helpful enough to help you with choosing your career path, and also pressing on the fact that SQL is a very important skill to learn and to improve that you will need as part of your data related jobs. Thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.